Hello and welcome to Lord's Brewing Co. YouTube channel and Beer Caddy podcast. We have a very, very special guest, very special. Martin Dawson from...
I'm one of the brewers at VARVAR Brew in Kyiv, in Ukraine.
And it's just a real privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
Honestly, you're our first ever collab with another brewery.
Yeah.
So there's probably a reason for that. And what a privilege it is to be doing it with VARVAR and the fact that what it's all about. Tell us what, if you can, what you've been doing and what your goal is for all these collabs that you've been doing.
So at the end of last year, we had this idea, well, not we, some of the guys in the beer community in Ukraine had the idea that one of the beer styles that is very popular there, which is Ukrainian Golden Ale, might be recognizable as its own independent beer style. And there was a little bit of a push to try and get it recognized by BJCP, Untapped, some of the semi-official sources that this is an official beer style. So we had arranged a couple of collabs internationally in the US and in the UK just to get a bit more international recognition, because that's one of the things that they look for when they're deciding whether or not they're going to accept it as a new style, is it accepted internationally. So we had all these collabs lined up for February, I think, February, March, and then unfortunately the end of February the Russians invaded, all the plans fell to pieces. Fortunately I was able to leave the country, got back to the UK and said to the guys, look, we agreed we were going to do this collab, we're going to do this for Ukraine and for Ukrainian Golden Ale. Are you still up for it? And everybody said, yeah, of course. So we were up for it, they were up for it, and since then we've had a half a dozen other people who were also up for it, said we want to get in on it too, and that's why we're here, brewing Ukrainian Golden Ale.
It's so exciting, and I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, there's...
Tell us how the style came about, because you told me earlier.
Yeah.
And it's quite an interesting story.
Yeah, Ukraine is quite young in terms of craft beer, I would say. The first brewery to explicitly call itself a craft brewery in Ukraine opened in 2012. So it's only 10 years ago. Before that, there was beer, but probably not recognizable as craft beer to people in Europe, in the US, in the main craft beer markets. There was a lot of lager. Some of the bigger breweries also did some sort of wheat beer, but there was no real craft beer. So back in 2019, Vasyl Mikulin opened a brewery restaurant in Donetsk in eastern Russia. Yeah. And he wanted his brewmaster, Dmitro, to broaden his horizons from the Reinheitsgebot, and he sent him to Belgium to learn about Belgian beer styles. He went off, he came back. He was still a little bit iffy on what can and can't be added to beer and still call it beer, but he decided, I'm going to add something a little bit different. I'm willing to accept coriander as an ingredient in a beer. Okay. So they brewed this new beer style. It was 7% alcohol, it was golden, it had coriander in it, it was very sweet. I've tasted a beer that was based on the original recipe. It's very sweet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ukrainians have got a bit of a sweet tooth.
Okay.
And it went down really well. So it was, the flavors in it are interesting, but it's not a huge step from lager to a Ukrainian Golden Ale. It's smooth, a little bit sweet. It's not overly bitter. It's easy drinking, even though it's 7%. It's quite easy drinking. It was incredibly popular. Unfortunately, the Russians invaded in 2014. Donetsk was seized by the Russians, and Vasyl moved to Kyiv, where he opened a new brewery, VARVAR. Around 2015, craft beer sort of really started to arrive in Ukraine. There was a bit more prosperity, people could afford craft beer, which obviously a higher price than mass-produced lager. And there was more people traveling internationally. You know, they'd been to Western Europe, they'd been to the US, they tasted IPAs and stouts and things like that. why can't we buy these in Ukraine? So there was a bit more of a push that we want our own craft beer scene.
That's pretty cool.
Starting in 2015, there was only a handful of breweries doing it, but VARVAR was one of them. Started making sort of the first wave craft beer styles, your West Coast IPAs, milk stouts, Irish stout, wheats, Belgian wits, saisons, things like that. Quite a range, and they rapidly worked their way through pretty much every style in the beer book.
Wow.
It's had a real, it's like an accelerated, smash through all the beer styles. See what suits the market. If it suits the market, we'll make it, and if it doesn't, then it's a fad and it's gone.
Yeah, similar thing to us on a smaller scale. There's beers that we watch. We have brew software, and we can see what's popular and what's not. And you'll see stuff it'll have been really popular, and then it just stops. No one wants it anymore. It doesn't matter what you do with that beer. No one wants it. So there's no point in keep trying to make it again. We just axe it, do something else.
Well, we've seen it here with things like Black IPA came and went, Brute IPA came and went. Who knows what's going to happen with all these fruited whatevers that are now on the market? Are they going to last, or is it going to be a fad? Who knows?
Although we just made a Black IPA, we're always behind the curve. So we made it on cask instead of keg.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, just because why not? Just to see what we're really good at cask. Well, I certainly think we are. And we came from a traditional background, and we've kind of evolved from there. And we were like, we really love cask. Let's have a go at putting a style that you wouldn't put in a cask. So that's what we did. And this is kind of the same thing. You wouldn't normally put this in a cask, would you?
So this, no, we wouldn't. So as well as this sort of first wave craft, at the same time as that was happening in Ukraine. So we've now, see, what is it it's probably late 90s it started in the UK, right? So 20 odd years, and Ukraine has smashed through all of them in 7 years, let's say. And now is bang up to date. If you go to Ukraine now, well, okay, in normal market circumstances, you could buy West Coast IPA, hazy IPA, fruited sours, pastry stouts, smoothie, all of the modern styles you could buy in a beer shop. But weirdly, one thing that also stuck was this Ukrainian golden ale, because around the same time that the first wave of craft was happening, beer festivals started happening. And Ukrainians have a little bit of an unusual attitude towards beer festivals.
Really?
Now, you would probably go to a beer festival in the UK, and your goal is, how many different beers can I try at this festival?
Yeah.
A lot of Ukrainians go to a beer festival, and for them it's just a social activity. It's a big pub. They're looking for a beer that they like, and they might drink that one beer all day.
Really? Wow, that's an interesting way of doing it. It must be frustrating for the buyer. Well,
it's a little bit weird, right? Because you could go buy that in a supermarket and drink it without coming to the festival. But a lot of them, it's just for this. They go with their friends. You do get the beer geeks who are, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try everything.
Do they have panda bottles? The little plastic panda bottles that our guys have.
I haven't seen any that bad, I don't think.
It always makes me laugh, that does. But hey, if they're really into it, then who am I to knock them?
It's weird, you get this real split between those who are really like the beer geeks who want to try everything you've got, and those who want something pale and easy to drink, and that's what they're going to drink.
Right.
It also makes it tough for us when we're selling beer at a beer festival, because we also always have to have a tap of beer for the people who just want a lager, a wheat beer, and then we've got to do all the crazy stuff for the beer geeks who are expecting pastry, barrel-aged, sour, fruited, session,
everything.
Whatever.
Yeah.
How many adjectives can you fit in this beer?
Yeah.
So when the festivals first started, Golden Ale was one of those beers that the guy who wanted to drink one beer, that's what he was drinking. And other breweries started saying, they're selling a lot of that beer. Maybe we ought to make one. And then another brewery would say, we're going to make one of those too. And suddenly, there's now like 10 to 15 breweries in Ukraine who make this style. So that's where we thought maybe it is its own style, because it's not really a Belgian golden strong. It doesn't have that yeast-driven, like the phenolic flavors.
The pear drops and all the crazy.
And on the other hand, it's not a British golden ale because it's stronger. It's not as bitter. It's sweeter. I think it's a little bit different.
I'm really looking forward to trying it.
So that's where it came from, really. That it's our best-selling beer.
Wow.
We do, the pastry stuff, the fruited stuff, the imperial stout stuff, the barrel-aged stuff. Our number one beer, golden ale.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, well, I feel really privileged that we're doing it. I like the fact that we're trying it in a completely different format as well, and I hope it works. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of beer that we're not going to know what to do with.
We've got 1,000 litres. I hope you like it.
Yeah. But it'll be around. I think we've targeted around late 5s, early 6s.
So yeah. Your version, I understand, is going to be about 6%. A Ukrainian version would probably be 6.5 to 7. But for cask, 6 is already
pushing the envelope.
So it's a pretty tough sell. So
yeah,
let's see how it goes.
I'm gonna go for it and encourage people to try it. I know what's going to happen. People are going to go, you've done what? Right, and then hopefully if we try it, people will rave about it, or there'll be the absolute opposite. We still haven't quite figured out what we're going to call it. We've been bouncing around some pump clip ideas. I still like the one. I've made a pump clip that looks like an Airfix model, and it's about but Putin's ship. It's like a model kit, and with Airfix models, you always had an epic picture of the battleship or aeroplane.
Yeah.
Well, this has just got C in it. There's nothing there. Which I think I did steal the idea of somebody else that had done it with a Revell model kit, and I thought that's kind of funny.
Putin's ship was here.
Yeah.
Now
I saw another one, and it's beautiful bit of artwork, but I think it's probably pushing it too far. And it's you remember when Hitler, that famous photo where he's holding.
Not that old.
No. Yeah. Do you remember him? No, but there's a photo where he's holding a boy's face and he's talking to him. And they've done the same thing. I think a Ukrainian artist has done it, and it's Hitler, and it's been drawn or painted. It's quite beautiful in the way it's kind of cartoony, and he's holding Putin's head, and I was like, that's what I feel about it, but Mike and Steve vetoed it. They're like, you cannot put Hitler on a. There is someone that's going to lose their mind over that.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a point, but
I'm kind of pushing it. That's a tough sell. I'm kind of pushing that too far. So I want to have fun with it, and what I don't want it to become, and I'm guilty of this. I've got obviously on our social media, is when we found out that Ukraine was being invaded. So. Our investors, they have staff in Ukraine. That was pretty scary, getting them safe basically. I won't go into what happened, but all hands on deck for that one. And then on top of that, I go to a big church in Huddersfield, and we had links with the Ukrainian church with lots of friends there, and then we were helping them get out as well, and it just really maddened me that the way it was done and all the lies and the lead up to it and all that kind of stuff, it just, I don't know, what I don't want to do is that the Ukrainian flag becomes a sales tool to sell stuff, and that's what I'm fully aware of. And somebody else said it to me, and I spoke about this on my live stream yesterday, which was, they said, why would you fly the Ukrainian flag when their government has got questionable practices and there are Nazis and all this stuff? And I said, it's not about the politicians. We all know governments are corrupt.
It's about the people.
It's about the people.
Normal people caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Ukrainian flag thing is... It's like a weird thing. I was talking to one of my colleagues, And we were talking about all these collabs we've been doing. And the easy way of doing the label is some combination of blue and yellow. And you go into some bottle shops now, on the shelf is just everything is blue and yellow because everybody has done something for Ukraine. It's a really weird feeling to go somewhere and I mean, I'm not Ukrainian, I'm British, but to go somewhere and see everybody supporting Ukraine is really weird. I mean, I've just spotted your the cask there with the bands on it, blue and yellow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've got a few of them floating around. We bought them ages ago, but yeah, we have a weird synergy with Ukraine, and in a nice way. And we know people there, and yeah, I just think it's terrible. One thing I would say is there's so much propaganda as well. Go and do your research. Don't believe everything that you see. And also, a good person to watch is a guy called Indigo Traveller on YouTube. He's recently done a series on Ukraine, and he's very impartial. And he was quite interesting. They went out into an area where there were some people that were pro-Russian, and Russia had shelled all their houses. And this guy stood there, and he was like, well, if this is Russia's freedom, I don't want it. So there's lots that's gone on, and I just feel for the people and the children. You know, they're completely innocent in it.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends who are still out there, and for weeks they were staying in bomb shelters, trying to get out of the city. It was like absolute chaos for those first few weeks. It's settled down a little bit now, and I'll say life is somewhat back to normal. You know, people are still going to work. You can still go out and have a drink in a bar or a restaurant, although there's a curfew, so you're not out late at night partying. But I was back there for a day last week, and yeah, it's just not quite the same. It's
I can't even imagine it. I hear. So my dad I had quite an old dad, and he would tell me stories about the war, and he was quite young when the war was on, but the stories are almost like otherworldly, and you think of it as something that happened a million years ago
to somebody else.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're in modern society, and here we are in the UK worrying about what politics or, you know, all sorts of little intricate parts of society. And so on not that far away in Europe, people are hiding in bunkers. It's mental.
It's not that far away at all. I mean, when I was back, there's a little park near where I was living. And I used to go running there every morning. And while I was back, for old time's sake, I went for a run around the park. And in that area, there's like trenches dug, there's bunkers set up for guns. You don't expect to walk out of the place where you live and see like trenches, guns, roadblocks. It's crazy. I mean, I'll say now is relatively safe, but before it started, it was also safe. The night before the invasion, I was out celebrating with some friends. Woke up the next morning, got a phone call from my boss. Like, what are your plans for the day? Like, I'm going to go to work. So, you haven't seen the news, have you? I said, no. I said, you really need to check the news. Like, okay.
Wow.
Check the news, and that's how I found out. And Ukraine is 2 hours ahead of the UK. So I packed my stuff up, ready to get going, had a shower, and then I started getting messages from people in the UK saying, have you seen what's happened? Yeah.
No.
I have. Yeah, it's crazy.
And how did you get out? Was it a challenge?
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. So the first part was, firstly I was told, stay where you are, don't move. Then some friends from work said, we're all meeting together. There's a little group of us getting together in a flat in the centre of the city. Let's stay together and stay safe. Pack your essentials. So I took a rucksack that had my laptop, a change of clothes, passport, cash, and a bottle of whiskey.
Hey, you need...
Well, the bottle of whiskey, my thinking was, I don't know what I'm stepping out there into. Cash might become worthless, but a bottle of whiskey is always a, can you help me out?
Yeah.
So I took the bottle of whiskey.
Not a bad
And
shout.
that's all I took when I left. Everything else I left in my flat. We met up, we spent the first night actually in the car park underneath the block of flats because it doubled as a bomb shelter. First thing next morning we set off and went to stay with family of a friend outside the city. And I stayed there a week until a friend of a friend was driving to Poland and wanted somebody to go with her. I said, yep, sure, I will go. It took us 2 days to get to Lviv, which is normally like a 7-hour car journey.
Right, okay.
Roadblocks every 1-2 kilometers down the road. Who are you? Where have you come from? Where are you going?
Was that Ukrainian roadblocks?
So this was Ukrainian. It was
Yeah.
some civilian, some police, some
Oh,
military.
civilian roadblocks.
Yeah, so civilian, but it's like the local local defense force.
Yeah, like
let's say.
militia, local militia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, all like fully armed.
To the teeth.
What's in the back of the car? Like 2 cats. Have a look. Yeah, okay, 2 you come. So it took us 2 days to get to Lviv, at which point my driver said, actually, I'm going to stay in Ukraine. So the people we stayed with the second night said they would take me as close to the border as they could get me the next day. So they took me about 6 kilometers away. We were stuck in traffic and I said, you know what? We could be sitting here all day. I'm going to walk. So I set off walking, and that would have been like 11 o'clock in the morning, and about midnight that night I crossed the border after standing in a queue in the freezing cold for hours. Yeah, it was...
Wow.
That was pretty rough, that queue. It was just masses of people, no toilet, no food, no water, freezing cold. This was end of February, so it was below zero once it got dark. They would open the gates, let maybe 100 people through, close the gate, and there were thousands of people there. Thousands.
Wow.
And mostly women and children.
Oh.
So,
Wow.
besides the fact I was thinking, I'm in a really terrible situation here, I was in a far better position than most of them.
Yeah.
Got over the border, got a bus to Krakow. No, I didn't. I got a bus to some other little town, and then random volunteers had come to this town called something like Przemyśl. I don't speak Polish. Volunteers had come and they were holding up a sign saying, this is where I'm going, this is how many people I can carry. So a guy with a Krakow sign said, Krakow please, and he drove me to Krakow.
Wow.
In Krakow I stayed overnight with a friend of a friend, and the next morning he took me to the airport and I flew back to Leeds Bradford Airport and I was back.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's
crazy
amazing.
week. A week I never thought I would experience, but
That's insane.
yeah.
That's like next level. Wow. I mean, it's amazing to hear the Polish rallying around, and
the support on the Polish side of the border was incredible.
that's fine.
Like,
They're
they
good
could not-
people.
I mean, it was a little bit chaotic on the Ukrainian side, as I think that's forgivable. Once you got to Poland, people could not do enough to help. It was amazing.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, they're good people, the Polish.
Yeah.
They are hardworking, crazy. I love them. They're good people. It's so nice to hear that, you know, everyone's banding together, and you know, and I would say to anybody who's listening who might be, you know, looking at all the conspiracy theories and everything that goes around it, just forget that for a second and just think about what it would be like if you were there. And the scary bit is it's only in Europe. It's not that far.
Yeah, it's not. It's like
So-
3.5 hour flight from here to Kyiv.
It's mental.
And, yeah, just remember there are good, honest, decent people there who are stuck in the middle and they don't want to be. And the first night as we were driving out towards the Polish border, we hit a city called Vinnytsia. We were planning on sleeping in the car somewhere. We were just going to park up, quiet road, because there was a curfew as well. So once it got to a certain time, pull up, sleep in the car. We went to a fuel station to refuel for the next morning, and a random guy overheard us discussing what we were going to do tonight. He insisted on kicking his kids out for the night to stay with friends so that we could sleep in their beds.
Really?
So the first night we slept in some random guy's house. The next morning he gave us breakfast, gave us food for the day, and off we went again.
Wow.
Yeah, some really, really great people there.
That's incredible, isn't it? Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
It just, and here we are in little Huddersfield on a hill in an old building, making some beer to try and support that effort. Even the forklifts got in on the colour scheme.
Once you see it everywhere. Blue and yellow.
Yeah, it works really well. We've got blue and yellow
there you go.
trolleys and everything. Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, I think it's great what you're doing. I'm hoping that we can raise some money and some more awareness, and I hope the beer turns out good and honours the style, because obviously we've done it a really wonky way by putting it in the cars. But yeah, I know I keep saying it, but it is a real privilege, and I thank you for coming up and spending time with us. And
you're welcome. Yeah, the support we've had from the beer community was amazing. Like within 24 hours of it happening, I think just about everyone I've ever worked with in the beer industry had messaged me to say, "Oh my God, are you okay? Is everybody safe?" I'm not sure there's many other industries where that would have happened.
Yeah.
And since we've been back, people can't do enough to help us. You know, we had the guys from Euroboozer put in a big order to get our beer into the UK to help us out, because we had beer in the brewery that we couldn't sell at the time. So he helped us get a truck to the UK. Another guy got us a truck to the Netherlands. Another one went to Denmark. Friends all around the UK, around the world, in fact, brewing beer to support Ukraine. It's been incredible.
It's awesome. It's amazing, and some of the breweries involved. You want to name all the ones so far that you've done? Yeah, if you can do it.
I'm a bit scared to name all of them, because if I miss one now, I'm in big trouble, aren't I? Okay, so we went to Holy Goat, did a Ukrainian golden ale, which they barrel aged. They did it with buckwheat honey.
Oh wow!
I still haven't tried. I've got bottles of that in my room, and I still haven't got around to tasting it. I should. Full Circle in Newcastle also did a Ukrainian golden ale.
Awesome.
You guys have done a Ukrainian golden ale. Osset Brewery did a Ukrainian golden ale.
Did they do theirs in cask?
Theirs is going to be in cask, yeah.
Ah, right. Okay, that'd be.
So you got competition. Yeah,
me and Jamie will have a chat about it.
New Barns in Edinburgh did a Ukrainian golden ale. Kaleidoscope in Copenhagen. Saugatuck in Saugatuck, which is Michigan, US.
Wow.
Forbidden Root and Midwest Coast in Chicago also did some.
That's cool.
Theirs were really good, actually, those three. Full Circles I've also tasted. Theirs was really good. The others I haven't tasted yet. And when I've tasted all of them, someone's going to say, so which is the best? And I'm going to have to be diplomatic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on top of those guys, I went to Rivington, and we did a double IPA, hazy IPA. Moonwake in Edinburgh, we did a Vienna lager. Went to Stu Mostov in Wrocław in Poland, and did a double IPA. They actually got donations from a hop farm in New Zealand and a yeast lab in Canada.
Wow!
So it was a mix of different people wanting to help. So we brewed a beer that they brewed for a Beer Geek Madness, a festival they organised in last April, like it was ages ago.
I know, yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Mad Scientist in Budapest they do beer, mead and braggot.
Braggot? What's braggot?
Braggot is a mix between mead and beer.
Oh, wow.
It's beer with a certain amount of honey in it.
Ah.
So they did one of their base braggots, and they dry hopped it the way that we dry hop one of our IPAs, so it was sort of a hybrid beer between the two. I also haven't tasted that one yet. Have I missed anyone? Oh yeah, Cat. So for the Liverpool Beer Expo, which is next week, pretty much every craft brewery, I think, in Liverpool got together, and we did a mega collab, which was hosted by Carnival. They also did a Ukrainian golden ale. So I think that's 5 in the UK, 6 now in the UK once yours is released. 3 in the US.
What about Beer Inc? You nearly forgot.
And I didn't. I was coming to that.
Yeah, all right, sorry.
We might be doing one in Chile as well, a Ukrainian golden ale. Denmark. And then let's see about the other stuff. Oh, maybe Switzerland. Yeah, we also did a collab with Beer Inc. So I actually met Gav at Beer Geek Madness. He went out for the festival and came to the VARVAR stand, of course, got chatting to him. He said, do you want to do a collab? We got talking, and a friend of mine from my little beer drinking circle in Kyiv once started telling this story about pickled watermelon as a snack. Honestly, to me, it sounded disgusting, and a lot of the other Ukrainians were, really? That's a Ukrainian thing? I've never heard of it. I asked around, and everybody said, oh yeah, my grandma used to like that. So I think it's something that used to be popular and now is perhaps less popular. I don't know. But I mentioned it to Gav and Ryan, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. So we're doing a pickled watermelon sour, which I think they're about to package it. In fact, that was
I love Ryan. He's crazy.
265 kilograms of watermelon, chopped, pressed, juiced,
Pickled.
and pickled. Yeah,
Amazing.
I've never tasted pickled watermelon.
No.
So I'm looking forward to tasting their beer and see what it tastes like. I'm a little bit, this is either going to be like, wow, that's great, or what were you thinking?
Well, yeah, but that's what I tell you what, Beer Inc. Ryan is, he'll just give it a go. He pulls it off all the time. I was saying to you when I sat over there, I was like, some of the beers he does are so good. I really enjoy him. So.
Well, he says he's tasted it and it's great, but it might be one of those beers that you like, yeah, that's nice, but I'm not going to drink a full pint of it.
Yeah, but at least you can tick it off your list and say you've had something that crazy.
But it was really, really great beer to brew, and it's something connected to my friends in Kyiv as well. So
that's awesome.
That's maybe the one I'm really looking forward to trying, because I just have no idea how it's going to taste. Pickled watermelon.
I can't even imagine it. I'm trying to process it in my brain.
I'm told it's like an amazing combination of bitter, sweet, salty, and sour.
Sweet, salty, and sour.
Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. That is... Hey, fair game. At least he had a go.
We've done some weird stuff in the past at VARVAR, like with beetroot and cucumber, and like tomato beer is really popular in Ukraine. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I can drink it and say, yeah, that's interesting. I'm not going to drink it again. But if we don't make it in summer, our fans start saying, "Where's the tomato beer, guys? Come on, it's summer."
Really?
And the latest thing is these a sauce beer. It tastes like you're drinking barbecue marinade, is what it tastes like. Now, to me, if I wanted to drink barbecue marinade flavored beer, well, I wouldn't, but I would just drink some barbecue marinade, right? But it's become a thing now. It's gone from the tomato to, tomato sort of goes with these herbs and
smoky and
yeah. Oh, it's a barbecue goza. Oh, look, it's a
barbecue.
It's a barbecue marinade.
Wow.
And some of them have even started putting the fruit pulp and stuff in, so it's actually thick like a marinade smoothie. Yeah, I know.
I bet that'd be great to cook with, though.
Now, if you were cooking with it, now you're talking my language. But drinking it, I'm not a fan. But
they love it.
It's a new thing in Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, I think it's partly the cultural thing of what you connect those flavors to from childhood, and there's a lot of this.
Right, okay.
So in Ukraine, it would be normal to preserve food by drying it, smoking it, pickling it, or something. So when you taste a beer that is a little bit of a pickled flavor, you associate it with what grandma used to make when you were a child.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And there's that sort of nostalgia thing. Whereas when I'm drinking them, I don't get that association because I don't drink pickle juice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I, however, as a kid, used to go and steal vinegar out of the cupboard And it used to make, and I used to drink it straight out the bottle. It made my lips go blue. Strange. I know I'm a strange person. I have some very odd habits when I was younger. My wife probably says I still have odd habits now.
We're all a little bit odd in our own way.
Yeah. It's that's the sort of life, isn't it? It's,
I'm not sure a marinade beer would catch on in the UK somehow.
I can't see it being a thing. Although
I'm going to ask Ryan to try it.
Ryan will have a go, and he'll probably nail it first go. Yeah, it'd be hilarious just to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be the next.
Could be.
We put beetroot in a stout, as we did an April Fool's joke. The beer was called Chornozem, and it was meant to be about this very dark earth in Ukraine that is very fertile.
Right.
So the joke was, we've done a dirt beer, right?
I think I saw this.
That's obviously a joke, right?
Yeah.
But we got people going into our bar saying, where's the Chornozem? Like, it's a joke. It's dirt beer. All right, we wanted to try it. So, okay, if they want to try it, we're going to make it. Obviously, we're not going to put dirt in. So we needed to get this earthy flavour without actual earth. So I think we did smoked pears and beetroot.
Ooh, wow.
I liked it, but I wasn't a huge fan. But people who liked that flavour couldn't get enough of the stuff. So now it seems beetroot's taking over, and there's like beetroot stouts everywhere. I've even had an alcohol-free beetroot stout.
That's mental. I like beetroot. I can roll with that.
There you go.
I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next one. We did for April Fools. I put out that we'd opened an OnlyFans page. So on our Instagram, we have a link tree, and it's got all our like socials on there, and the trade portal where you can buy your beer if you're a pub or a wholesaler. And we put OnlyFans on there, and then when you clicked it, it rickrolled you. So people were like, what's funny about it is some people laugh, ha ha ha. Some people were like, didn't want to admit that they'd gone and clicked on it.
I imagine some people were also a little bit disappointed when they got rickrolled.
Yeah. Yeah, we were saying we should have done it like the next year. We might actually do it and open an OnlyFans, but do like cans that are laid out in lingerie.
Right, yeah. Interesting.
It'd just be hilarious.
I'm sure some people would pay for that.
There's always, people have some very straight. Well, if you like beer that's made tastes like marinade, then the sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But yeah,
only fans for cans.
Yeah, only fans for cans. That's amazing. Oh man, we were talking about because there's a lot of beer reviewers that are popping up on YouTube. And we were talking the other day, and I said if I didn't have a brewery, because I don't review other people's beers, or very rarely, and they're normally ones that I've been given from another country, or I'm there with somebody else who's reviewing it. So I don't have the most sophisticated palate, but I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And I said if I didn't have a brewery and I could review any beer, I would start something called Bath Time Beer Reviews. And do you remember the Darling Buds of May? Yeah. Where they used to have like a full turkey in the bath and all that, and loads of bubbles. I'd be like, do a beer review in the bath, and it would be so unusual that I reckon it would do well.
Yeah, I think you'd get a lot of fetishists into that.
Yeah, I think it'd be. I think it would be surprisingly popular. Although people didn't go with the idea when I suggested it. I have actually hot tub live streamed I was on holiday, and I paid for a hot tub, and I was like, I'm not being in that hot tub when I paid all this money for it. So I said, look, I'll do you live, but I'm coming on from the hot tub, and that was total carnage. And we were drinking Blue Monkey beers, and I nearly drowned from laughing because somebody said something that set me off. And drinking in a hot tub's not really the thing to do.
Yeah,
it's not good for you. So if you're watching, don't do it. Anyway, I've gone off on a complete and utter tangent now. But
did you get more viewers because you were in the hot tub, or fewer?
He viewers? Did, yeah. Because just for the stupid factor. So
I don't think it was the stupid factor. I think you've got some
No.
fans out there.
Awkward. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, it's been good fun doing the social media and doing YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother world that I didn't know existed. I did have the channel before the lockdown, but I didn't really do anything with it. And then lockdown came, and that's how we advertised who we were, because we didn't have any money to really, like, where did you go with that? Hey, like, well, you can't really do it. I don't know where you've only got Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Really, or Twitter if you're good at Twitter, but I can't spell, so most of the time Twitter's a disaster for
Most
me.
people on Twitter can't spell, so you're okay.
Well, it's true, yeah, it's true. And I always end up in arguments on Twitter, so I just keep out of it. Do you know what Twitter's like? It's like going in the services or going into public toilets and writing something on the wall and then leaving. Like, there's no... You just put... there's like almost like no consequence to it.
And then you never go back, so you don't even care what people respond underneath it. So.
It's like, I've said my bit, I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I hate it. And Facebook's going the same way, if you ask me. Anyway, we're putting the world to rights here. So, the beer is coming. The beer will be ready 2 to 3 weeks, I reckon, our end.
So, end of June-ish.
Yeah.
Last week of June.
Yeah. And we're... the Grove have given us a permanent line now in the pub. And we're going to take the beer to the Grove, and we'll do a launch night to celebrate that we've got a permanent line and that we've done this Ukrainian collab. So if you're about and you're not flying all over the world doing stuff...
I think I'm actually here the last week of June. Let's see. I am, yeah.
So you'll have to come and drink with us.
I will, yeah.
And then you can tell me if you don't like it. I don't mind.
Yeah. And the guys from the Grove actually came down and helped with the watermelon as well. So
they're a good bunch, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't think they knew that they were coming to work. I thought they were coming for like
social media stuff.
Social media, photo opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like here's some watermelon guys, get cutting. Oh, okay, excellent. Yes.
Well, there's a lot, like serious amounts of watermelon to be chopped. We did a collab beer with a friend of ours, Paul's Beer Reviews, and he's ginger, so he wanted ginger in his beer, and we did 40 kilos of fresh ginger.
I heard about the ginger, yeah.
Luckily, I stayed out of the way. I found things to do that weren't related to.
I've got a delivery, guys. I'll just leave that with you.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in the office. I'm doing receipts. And yeah, that was it.
One of these Ukrainian golden ales, we were putting coriander in, and boil had started, and there were two brewers, and one of them was saying, maybe we should start on the coriander, and he was like, we've got loads of time. I really think we should start the coriander. Don't worry about it. Like 20 minutes left on the boil, he decided he was going to start on this coriander, and he was putting it in a plastic bag and hitting it with a hammer, and then realised how much coriander he had and how little time he had. So we ended up with coriander in the 2 buckets. One person was smashing it with a hammer, and the other one had like the end plate off one of the tanks. So it was a metal disc with a handle on the back. So he was like using that as a knuckle duster, just pounding this thing.
Wow.
And there were 3 of us, like one doing it with a hammer, the other like this, and the other had some other random piece of metal. And we were just like smashing it to bits. Like, how long have we got? It's like 5 minutes left. Let's go.
Wow.
That was quite hard work.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
It's quite tough as the old coriander as well.
So now I warn people ahead of time. If you're doing the coriander,
prep it.
Be prepared to crush it somehow.
Yeah.
Do not rely on the hammer and bucket method.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not the one.
Yeah, the beer was delicious, but I mean, maybe the hammer and bucket thing is what gave it that extra.
Yeah,
yeah, you can really taste the hammer in this one. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Don't recommend it.
No, but it's got to be done. Well, it's been lovely talking to you, and it's been, I think you're probably my most high-profile guest I've ever had.
Am I your first ever guest?
No, you're not my first ever guest, but you're probably...
Am I your first ever guest? No, you're not my first ever guest, but I mean, maybe the first ever guest.
You're probably... No, you're not my first ever guest, but you're probably... No, you're not my first ever guest, but you're probably... No, you're not my first ever guest, but you're probably... my first ever within the trade that I've not met before
Okay.
and interviewed. So I'm not. Yeah, we'll be on all the platforms, so it's all very exciting. And I quite enjoy doing this. It's good fun. So thank you ever so much, and
Thank you.
I look forward to having a beer with you at the Grove.
The Grove.
And you're not far from us, so yeah, it's a good excuse to. You're always welcome here, by the way.
Don't need an excuse.
Yeah.
Just an invitation.
Yeah. Well, you're always if you're ever knocking around. It's kind of a place for waifs and strays up here anyway. So if you ever just fancy coming up and having a coffee and tuna fat, you're always welcome.
But, hey guys, I'm back.
Yeah, you're always welcome. So
Thank you.
yeah, no worries. So thank you for listening or watching on whatever platform you are, and from Lordsbury & Co. and VARVAR Brew, have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever you're doing. We love you. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.